It's the easy way out. Have you heard that when people ask you about the medication you're taking, the GLP-1's, the Zepbound, the Mounjaro, the Ozempic, the Wegovy? It's the easy way out. You're cheating. So today, we're going to talk about it. My name's Christopher Durham.
I'm Laraine Durham.
And we are the Downsized.
So if you're new here, welcome to our channel, or welcome back to our channel if you're not new here. This is our channel where we talk about everything GLP-1 weight loss related. We have personally lost weight. I've lost weight on compounded tirzepatide. I've lost over 50 pounds. And this is my husband, Christopher Durham. How much have you lost?
80 pounds using compounded tirzepatide, Zepbound, and Mounjaro. I've used them interchangeably, have seen no difference other than cost and availability. So it's all worked well for us.
We think this works great. And so we started this channel to tell everybody about it, and along the way we've gotten some comments, and you've probably heard them if you're on these medications and you've been telling people about your journey. So we've been on this journey now for about a year. We started in September of 2023 and now it is October of 2024. So you know, we've heard a few times, oh, you're on medication, oh, you're cheating, oh, you'll have to stay on that forever, won't you? And so we just wanted to make a video to address some of the things that you might say when these things pop up.
So really the goal is to dismantle this pessimistic, this odd narrative that people have in their head, whether it's because they're workout junkies or they watch too much bad news. It doesn't really matter, or honestly they don't want you to be skinnier than them. Occasionally that's it too. Jealousy. So we want to talk about that. We want to give you some tools to arm you in this conversation. We want to promote some empathy all the way around and really highlight the realities of using GLP-1s. Let me start out first by saying, though, we are not doctors, not a doctor. We are people who have spent the last year using GLP-1s. We are moms and dads and husbands and wives. We've been married 21 years. And so we faced a lot of these conversations like you have. Sometimes it's really not easy and it's discouraging, and we want to change that narrative. Let's talk about it for a minute. So what are some of the things that people have said to you?
You've lost a lot of weight. How'd you do it? Oh, you take weight loss medication. What's that? Isn't that cheating? Isn't that taking the easy way out? Why do you want to do that? Why can't you just diet and exercise?
And so for me, it's been a lot of those same things, but you also, as a guy, you get this sideways look like you just need to go to the gym. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Which is just sort of silly.
Along those diet and exercise lines.
Right. It's just a weird, different tone. Mm-hmm. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of thing, which, and as we've said before, if that could be done, this one would have already done it a long time ago. And I've gained and lost the same 20 pounds probably 10 times in the last...
Oh, so have I, for that matter. But
you know, I think we all have, right?
Yeah.
So those things are out there and we see them online. A couple times a week I delete those comments because people make them on the YouTube channel here and we just don't participate in that conversation.
And as we say all the time, and as the American Medical Association has said, obesity is a disease. Okay, so these drugs are a treatment for the disease of obesity, much like high blood pressure or high cholesterol. Obesity is a disease, and this is a tool that helps in the treatment of this disease.
Somebody comes up to you in your gym or
Yes.
at a party or what have you. Mm-hmm. How do you respond? What are your standard things that you say?
Usually they ask me, well, they say, oh, you look great. How much weight have you lost? How did you do it? Those are in that order. And so thank you. And how did I do it? I took a weight loss medication called tirzepatide, Mounjaro, Zepbound. It's a prescription medication in conjunction with diet and exercise. These are usually people that come up to me at the gym I've been going to for now almost 2 years. So these people have seen me slowly lose these 50 pounds, and people notice and they want to know. But then a lot of times when I tell them it's a medication, I had a lady just the other day told me, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I can't do that. They don't really understand, and sometimes I feel like I can explain it further, and sometimes I just leave it at that and go on about my day.
So I think it's interesting. The first thing I have to do is say the way we have approached this has evolved over time. When we first started taking this medication, we were like a lot of people and just keeping it quiet. Weren't really telling anybody. We didn't tell our kids, our moms and dads. We didn't tell any of those people. And as we saw success, our approach changed.
We felt like it worked, so let's tell people about it. Yeah.
It may well happen that way with you. You may decide that you don't ever want to tell anybody how you did it, and that's completely up to you. In addressing questions like that, is this the easy way out? You know what? First thing is, you don't even have to tell them what you're doing. There's no reason you have to tell anybody your medical information. If someone is politely inquiring about your health, then politely say, yeah, I've been working on it, and move on. Right? You don't have to worry about that. I like to look at the folks that approach me and say, who are they? How well do I know them? What was their attitude in the approach? Because you get some that are coming at you hard, and the ones coming at me hard get a different response than the people that I know who are politely inquiring. Right?
Yeah. And I think about the people I know at the gym, and most of them are just casual acquaintances. I don't see these people generally outside of the gym. And one lady, I guess she had been on vacation for a while, and she came back and she said, oh, you've lost more weight. And I said, no, I've leveled off, I've maintained. She goes, no, you've lost more since I saw you last time. Like almost like accusatory, like, how dare you? And it was just I don't know, I was like, all right. I didn't really know how to respond to that. I was like, okay, I'm just going to be over here doing my little workout thing. So it's
a weird thing. So you get the just curious people, and I think there's a whole group of people who just like to say obvious things out loud. Oh, you're bald. Oh, you're pretty. Oh, I don't know why those people do what they do. I generally just ignore them. I don't feel the need to tell a 7-foot man he's tall, to tell a really pretty girl she's pretty, to tell.
I always do that. The tall people, I'm like, wow, you're tall. They're like, yeah, I know.
Why
do we do that?
I don't know why people do that. I just ignore that. It's not a big deal. It's the people that come at me hard that I have to stop. And we've had a number of them over the time who think they're more educated, think they know what they're talking about, are super workout people, are pharmacists, are you name it, that want to say you're taking the easy way out. And I'm thinking about the pharmacy tech
who told me I just needed to cut sugar out of my diet instead of taking a medication that I was there at his pharmacy to pick up. It just well, and it goes back to that bias against fat people, against the weight bias. How a lot of times if you're overweight, at least for me, I've noticed that people seem to be able to feel like they can tell me what to do more, or to tell me how I should go about doing things, or just automatically assume that I'm stupid because I'm overweight. And it's really maddening and frustrating. And as someone who's dealt with it for a number of years, I'm just over it at this point. Like I've had so many things said to me, you still can hurt my feelings, but I like to think that I've developed a little bit of a thicker skin over the years. I don't know why people want to fat shame people or want to make fun of fat people. I guess we're easy targets. I don't know.
It always startles me because I'll get it. And I lost 80 pounds, so I was almost 300 pounds, and I would walk into a store, a men's store, and I know you've had this experience as well. I walked into a men's store, beautiful men's store in Amsterdam, and my bags had been lost by the airline, so I had no clothes. So I walked into a men's store. The guy looks me up and down, pretty Dutch man, and he goes, "We have nothing for you."
Okay, I'll leave now. You know,
Well,
especially in a foreign country, that's, you know, it's just a whole nother, that's just a whole nother ball of wax.
so I go to walk out, and there's another lady working in there, and she walks out by me, and she goes, "I'm sorry, let me tell you where you can go." And she gave me an address for another store,
nice.
which was really nice. But you just kind of like, I just wanted a suit coat because I have to have I'm at a conference. I have a presentation, and then I've certainly had it here as well. Even you walk into the average mall store, and they're like, "Here's the two things."
Oh, I walked into Lululemon years ago. It was probably around a size, I don't know, 12, 14, like my standard most of my life size. And the salesman looks at me and goes, "Oh, is this your first time shopping with us?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "We only go up to a size 12. I'm like, "Are you telling me to get out of your store? Like, what the hell?" And so after a few minutes I left, and then I just got really, really angry. Like, how rude, and how dare you? And that's why I don't shop at Lululemon anymore.
Permanent ban.
I refuse. It's just, why do you have to be like that? Why do you have to be so rude? Why can't you just say, "Hi, can I help you find anything today?" I worked in the Gap for, I don't know, 10 years of my life, I think, starting out of college. I would never say anything like that to someone. I would always like try to help someone if they came into my store. So I really just had a personal problem with that.
So you have certainly been involved in the diet culture for most of your life,
yes.
right? So you've done
indeed.
every diet. You've made up some diets along the way.
If there was a diet in a magazine, I was ripping that sucker out and doing it. I've done Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Nutrisystem, Atkins, keto, intermittent fasting, 17-day diet, hydrates addicts diet, the Hollywood diet. That one was particularly fun because you just ate fruit on some days. And I always said by day 2 at 2 o'clock you need to be near the bathroom because
it was all coming out.
And this is when I worked in an office. So a couple of the girls and I were on this and we're like, "Oh man, this is cleaning me out, all this pineapple." Anyway, I have tried, needless to say, I have tried many diets in my time. And
So I'm curious how you feel, because you've been in the middle of it essentially since the 60s, 70s, pretty much. There's been a diet culture driven by print magazines, 17, Glamour, Vogue, driven by TV, driven by, if you remember early on, Twiggy, you know, the 90-pound model. There was Cocaine
Moss,
Chic
yeah.
and Kate Moss. There was Victoria's Secret's Angels. There was quizzes in the magazines. There was this whole culture around selling diet. How do you think that shaped the way people think?
I remember the 90s and Snackwells came out, those in the green box, those devil's food cookies that were fat-free. So my mom brings them home and we're like, "Ooh, they're fat-free, we can eat as many as we want." It turns out that actually wasn't the case, but we've gone from being fat-free to switching over to keto, where you ate mostly fat. So there's just been such a swing and such a shift that a lot of times we as just regular people don't know how to lose weight. We've just been confused. I'm a kid of the 70s and the 80s. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. We're Gen X kids. People like threw everything at us, from Kool-Aid to sugar-free stuff to fat-free stuff to, it's just been one after the other.
So how do you think that shaped society's opinion of fat people?
I don't know. I think society has always had it in for fat people. Like, you always see, like on TV, you'd see fat people as, remember that show, What's Happening? And that
Rerun.
big fat guy Rerun, and he was always jolly, and he was always happy, and he was always joking around. The kids I knew at that size, they weren't always happy. It was hard to move around at that size, and it wasn't difficult. I had a friend in growing up in high school, and we had a nickname for him that wasn't particularly complimentary, but he just went with it. And I remember I saw him again years later, and he had lost a bunch of weight. and then I felt bad that we had always called him this nickname. But you know, and it just was just something ingrained in our culture, I think, without even.
Well, it's
really
certainly modern American culture as much more than anything else. Historically, weight has had a lot of meanings over the last 1,000 years. Early on, it would have been wealth, not today. The last 60, 70 years, it hasn't been. But that culture, how has it shaped the way people view and think about the obese?
Well, I think people have a view of obese people as they're lazy, they're unmotivated, they just want to sit around and eat all the time. When these things really just are not true. I think people don't understand that obesity is a disease, and certainly if I could have lost weight in my teens or my 20s or 30s or 40s, I would have done it. And I tried everything, and it was just kind of like a never-ending battle against myself.
And I've gotten that a lot over the years. It's you're making a choice to be fat.
Right. Nobody makes a choice to be fat.
Let me tell you how to make a different choice.
Yeah.
Gee, thanks. Okay. So, and it's with the pharmacy store she was referring to during the height of all the shortages. We were calling around to get the medication filled and having difficulty with it. And what did the pharmacist assistant say to you?
I think we were trying to get a prescription filled, and I had gotten it filled there before, and I tried to get it filled there again, and I called back. They were going to order it, and then they told me they couldn't get it, and I called again, and I talked to the pharmacy technician, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, what do you mean you can't get it? You got it before. Sorry, the distributor's out. I can't get it. I was like, what am I supposed to do? It's just so important. There's no way you can get it. And he goes, there is something you can do. I said, what? Tell me. I'll do anything. I'm paying $1,000 for this medicine. Like, what? Tell me. I'll do anything. He goes, you can cut out all sugar. And I'm like, God darn it. Like, really? Are you really going to sit here and tell me, like, not to eat sugar, and then I'll be fine? It's so frustrating, because people who are naturally thin and have never had food noise don't understand. It's just very hard for them to understand obese people and the disease of obesity and the constant need to eat all the time and eat all the food, and it's a never-ending battle. If you've never struggled with it, you don't know, and there's no way for you to know. So sometimes we can get mad at those people because they say dumb things, but they don't know. They don't have any way to know.
But that was what was so frustrating to me, and when it finally clicked for me when we were out discussing doing these medications, that there was science, and doctors and scientists had figured out that these GLP-1s could basically tell your gut to send the correct signal to your brain to say, you're good. You're not hungry anymore. You can stop foraging. You can stop looking for food.
You are not going to die if you don't eat.
What made me angry, though, and if you saw one of the Downsized Dish interviews we did with a guy from Australia, James, said the same thing, was that there were all these people out there judging whose systems already worked correctly, who thought they were working hard, who thought they were doing something special, and they were smarter, faster, better people than fat people.
Yeah. Because
their system just naturally worked different.
Yeah. Reminds me of my sister a little bit. My sister and I have grown up, in the same household with, all of our lives. We're 14 months apart, so I'm older. So we were a year apart in school. She was always very naturally thin. I was always very naturally chunky. And, through the years, she became very exercise focused, especially after getting married and having kids. She's done a lot of triathlons. She was on a triathlon team. She's run marathons and half marathons. She, at one point, was big into P90X. So she's always been very health and fitness focused. And when these GLP-1 medications came out, I think a lot of people in her neighborhood went on them and lost a substantial amount of weight. And she couldn't understand that. Like, she had always worked out so hard and trained so hard and focused on her diet to the point of she is a vegetarian, very focused on her eating and her exercise. So she just can't understand how someone would need a medication to help them, and just got very frustrated at the thought of why am I killing myself working so hard and these people can just take a shot and it's so easy for them.
So that gets us back around to the easy way out.
Right.
So we hear that it's the easy way out. So is it actually an easy way out?
For me, no, it's not an easy way out. It was a definite tool. It's a definite tool that I used. I still did the same exercise and pretty much ate the same things, just less of the things. I continued to do all the things I was doing before, but this medication just helped me not be so focused on food all the time. It took away the food noise, the constant commentary in my head about what I was going to eat now and in the future. And I think for people who are naturally thin or naturally at a normal weight, they just don't hear those things. They don't understand.
So some of the things that honestly make it not the easy way out, certainly side effects. I mean, this you don't take the shot and then go frolicking about your merry way.
Right.
Everybody I've ever talked to had fatigue, certainly in the early doses of the shot, and very often, regularly after you take the shot or dose up.
I had fatigue, I had constipation, I had a low level of a nauseous feeling a lot, very reduced appetite. Sometimes it would be, especially at the beginning, I'd eat 5 bites of something and be like, I can't finish that. And that's not a normal, it wasn't a normal behavior for me. So I worried about, was I eating enough? Was I doing this right? Constipation was an issue. I had to take some things and manage that. It wasn't just like I took the shot and boom, I lost 50 pounds. I was still going to the gym 3 and 4 times a week. I was still going to my Weight Watchers meetings. I was still trying to eat healthy foods, reduce sugar, reduce junk food. I still was doing all those things. It was just gave me that boost my brain needed, that it was missing.
So it was still a choice. It's just a different choice. I know for me, every week you take the shot, there's that little piece in the back of your brain that says, do I want to keep doing this? Is this working?
Maybe this is the last one I'll ever take.
And it's nagging you in the back. And then as you see progress, as you see weight loss, those questions certainly diminish. But then if you have a bad week and there's a lot of constipation, a lot of diarrhea, a lot of whatever, when I say it's a marathon, I don't just mean it's a marathon because of the distance, because of the sheer amount of time. It has the ups and downs. It has the fatigue. It has the tiredness. It has all those things that a marathon would have, and you gotta mentally get through it. It's not the easy way out.
And then comparing to a marathon, an actual marathon, there's no end. I've gotten to 50 pounds, and that was my goal, and it got to the end. So people want to know, oh, are you going to stop taking the medicine now? You're done. You can stop now. And that's not really the way that these medications work. I've tried to drop down in my dose. I might try to go longer between doses. I'm not really sure. I've been floating around within a 5-pound range now for the past couple months. I don't know what my maintenance is going to be like. And when people tell me that they're going to stop taking it altogether, I question that, because I know if I stop taking this medication, this weight is going to come back. And I do not want this weight to come back. So I'm trying very hard to figure out maintenance path, because there's really no end. I remember one of the first diets I went on was Nutrisystem with my mom. I think I was about 12 years old, and we went to Nutrisystem, and I remember I lost 10 pounds, which I think was my goal. 10 or 15 pounds, not very much looking back, but to me it was a lot. And I remember thinking, oh, I'm cured now. I'm a normal weight now, so now I can do whatever I want. I can eat just like my skinny friend Amy, who can eat everything and is stick thin, because now I'm thin, and that's how thin people eat. Spoiler alert, that didn't work that way for me. So it's your life. It's a never-ending
So it's
struggle.
about, it's that constant managing expectations, and we see it all the time in our comments and Facebook groups and on Reddit boards, you name it, where there's, I'm a slow loser. I haven't lost enough this week. I only lost 30 pounds this month, and I wanted to lose 50 pounds. I've only lost, and there's all this sort of emotional turmoil about weight and cost and medication.
Mm-hmm.
That I promise you, this is not the easy way out.
No.
It is a guaranteed way out, and I shouldn't use the word guarantee. It will work.
For 90% of people.
Yeah.
There are a few people for which this medication just does not seem to work, and we're not doctors, but I've heard doctors say they're not really even sure why. But for most people, you can't expect to lose weight on this medication. And these medications are expensive. Any way that you're getting these medications, if you're getting it compounded like me, if you're getting it from CVS, if you're paying out of pocket, if your insurance covers it, most people are paying a lot more than $25 a month for these medications. We're paying $275 a month for compounded, $550 a month for the branded with a coupon at CVS. You're really invested emotionally, financially. You're making a big investment in yourself. So you want these things to work. And when people come at you with all these negative comments, it's just very, it can be very upsetting, to say the least.
So you've got side effects, you've got cost, you've got emotional challenges. Talk to me about, though, the challenge that shouldn't exist, and if Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk were doing this all correctly, wouldn't exist. The shortages and the obtaining the medications and just the sheer work of it.
I manage Christopher's prescription with CVS. I've gone to Walgreens. I've gone to local pharmacies just in search of his current dose. For me, I started with an online provider back last year in September of 2023. I started with a 3-month supply. I went to ask them some more questions, couldn't get a hold of a real person and got very frustrated. Switched to a different online provider, had to talk to that online doctor, and I was like, are they gonna accept me? Because now I'm not in the obese range anymore. I'm just in the overweight range, and are they still gonna... So I had to tell them, I'm worried every time I have to put in a reorder, look for his next dose of medication. It's just very, not traumatic, but it's just unnerving. It makes me very anxious. This past time with my current online provider, it took a full 2 weeks to get my reorder from the time I clicked the button on their website to the time it arrived FedEx on my doorstep. And
now that was a function of the whole Eli Lilly FDA pulling it off the shortage list, and
yeah, so everybody
there are
was
people in
reordering.
boardrooms that do not understand the impact that they are having on the health and wellness of Americans, and they're making decisions based off of their stock price, off of their patent value, off of their profit margin. And it's businesses, I get it, but when you are in the healthcare business, you've got to think about patients. because it is hard.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying to think I won't be able to have access to these medications anymore, or just really just priced out just for if the compounding goes away. And it's just to come all this way and to make all this progress and then have it ripped out from under me, that would be the worst.
Absolutely, it would. So let's go back to the criticism. So the easy way out, you're lazy. Why don't you just eat less? Why don't you just work out more? Let's go through a couple of different scenarios. When it's a close friend, what's your response to that?
Well, that's how we first learned about Mounjaro. Was one of my good friends lost a bunch of weight, and I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm taking medicine." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And initially my first reaction was, oh, you had to take medicine. I do Weight Watchers. Aren't I the superior one? No, that's so dumb now. But it even was, my initial reaction was, oh, yeah, if I could take a pill or a shot and lose weight, yeah, I'd do it too. Well, yeah, I did too. But, you know.
And we started a YouTube channel.
Yeah, but, you know, I think it's a perfectly natural reaction just given our diet culture when someone tells you that they're taking a weight loss medication to be taken aback by that. Because you're used to people saying, oh, I lost 50 pounds with diet and exercise. Oh, I ran a half marathon and lost 100 pounds. Oh, I did the cabbage soup diet and lost 10 pounds in a week, and boy, was that tough, but I did it. You know, it's...
Let's take a few scenarios. So you're at church, you're at a party, you're at wherever, and a close family friend comes up and says, oh, I see you've lost weight. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? What do you say to them?
I say, I'm taking a weight loss medication called compounded tirzepatide, and you might have heard of it as Mounjaro or Zepbound.
And they say, when they say, isn't that the easy way out, why are you taking medication?
I'm taking the medication because I have the disease of obesity, and I have a brain with the disease of obesity that tells me to eat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I've tried literally everything known to man to try to stop that. And until this medication, it has never stopped.
And how do they usually respond?
Some people understand if they've struggled. The whole term food noise is a relatively new term, I feel like. And I think as people who struggle with obesity realize that that's what's happening, they'll recognize it. But people who have not struggled don't understand at all. And they just, there's no explaining it to them. You can't. I don't feel like.
All right, so let's take another example. When you run into a random mommy, she runs, she's very healthy, she's got her Lululemon pants on, and you know her because our kids went to school with her, but she's a little passive-aggressive and painful already. And she says, oh, you've lost weight. What do you say?
Yes, I have. Thank you very much for noticing.
Okay. And if she says, how'd you lose weight? What do you say?
I say I've taken a weight loss medication, I go to the gym, and I've been trying to watch what I'm eating.
Isn't that lazy?
I don't think anything about that is lazy, personally, but that's what I mean. Sometimes I want to defend it, and sometimes it's just not worth my breath. You know what I mean? I feel like if someone genuinely wants to know and possibly wants to replicate it for themselves, I will talk their ear off. I will give them a link to my YouTube channel. I will tell them everything, everything that I know. But I feel like if someone is coming at me with a mean or aggressive attitude, I'll just stop and walk away. It's not worth my time. I'm not going to convince them, so why bother?
And see, for the people that I know, so like my brother asked, my twin brother who's now taking the medication as well, he's a little gruff, and he's a 56-year-old white dude too. He's
your twin.
He's my twin. But we just talk about it, and because we have shared experiences with overweight parents, it was not an easy conversation. Easy is not really the word for it, but it was. We have enough shared experience that the conversation was fine, and he was, I would never spend that much money, and blah, 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 blah. And I don't know that I'd do shots. I'm afraid of shots. And then 3 months later, he's taking shots.
What do you think convinced him to start it?
I don't know. He's been up and down over the years a lot in his weight. He might have fluctuated 100 pounds. It wouldn't shock me. But I think he's got a teenage daughter now, and I don't know. I haven't asked him specifically about that, but he definitely found that space. I think the people who passive aggressively come at me very often, I do, and it's not just with this, I give short answers. It's just
yeah, that's your
sometimes, because what we do in the real world for a living as our business is difficult to explain.
Yeah.
So my common answer is we're in marketing.
We're in marketing.
And she's like, we do the blah blah blah, and there's like a diatribe that's 60 minutes long, and they still don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So for this, my typical answer is, thanks, I'm investing a lot in it. Okay. Not an untruth, because we are investing a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't go any further. And even when I see people who have lost weight, I don't comment on weight. I never commented prior to this. I do not comment now. And Laraine will be like, didn't you notice so-and-so had lost weight? I'm like, yeah, but I didn't notice when she gained weight and go, hey, you're getting hefty. So why would I comment when that's not... It doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah,
and I think maybe that's a male versus female thing. I feel like women, especially my age and my age to my mom's age, always comment on anyone who loses weight. You're going to hear their comments. You're going to hear my comments about if I
it's
think
usually
you've lost weight.
Passive aggressive and mean. It's not.
No, it's not. Like if there's a lady I was talking to at the gym the other day who I remember when she started, and I told her, I said, you've lost some weight, you're looking really good. And she's like, no, I haven't, I'm really struggling. And that's when I started telling her about my GLP-1's.
I'm not going to ask them if they're pregnant either. I'm not going to make any assumptions about your size that's going to come out of my mouth. I might have thought it,
probably
but
best.
I'm just
plenty of people, not plenty, I've definitely had comments of how far along are you when I was not pregnant, and that was just the worst. If you've ever had someone think you're pregnant when you're not, it was just, I think I was like 2 months postpartum, and I was in a store, and somebody asked me when the baby was due, and I was just really, I thought I was doing so good. And so, yeah, those comments, I definitely don't make any more about pregnancy after being through that personally. But I feel like whenever I've lost weight, I always like it when people notice. I always,
yeah,
and a lot of people are like that too online. I see people saying, I've lost 40 pounds and nobody's noticed. Like, is this really, working or whatever? And
I get that. And I've been in that place, particularly early on, where I was like, somebody's going to notice one of these days. Why hasn't anybody noticed yet?
Yeah, I think you did say that, maybe around December, January.
Yeah, around Christmas, because I think I'd lost 30 or 40 pounds. I'm just not in a place, because my family was big. I've never associated how much you worked or whether you were a good person or a bad person with what you weighed. Because my parents worked harder than anybody I know, and they didn't have time to go to the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning because they were already working. And sometimes they had 2 jobs, and sometimes they had, right. So it wasn't a matter of were you a hard worker. It wasn't a matter of are you a good person or a bad person. I knew plenty of good people that were skinny. I knew plenty of bad people that were skinny. Same thing for heavy people. So I didn't have the moral association with you're good or bad. In the same way I also don't with how much you exercise. I'm not going to throw you a parade if you ran a marathon. I'm not going to insult you if you sat on the couch. Not my problem.
Yeah, and that's kind of swings the opposite way from from my upbringing, because my mom always struggled with her weight. My mom was an average size woman, so she was always gaining or losing 10 or 20 pounds, and my dad was always pretty self-conscious about his weight, so he was running marathons and eating grape nuts and health food, and we were doing all those things in the 70s. For them to have an overweight child, I think, was an embarrassment for them, because why couldn't I be a normal weight like my sister or like they were? Whenever I started a new diet or lost 10 pounds, I would get immediately praised with, oh, you're doing so great, keep it up, this is great, you look great. So I always had that constant need for the recognition on how I looked regarding my weight.
So let's talk a little bit more about addressing the questions. So for me, and for those of us who now understand that obesity is a disease and we're battling that, right? It's part of this larger thing. It's part of our health. So it's not just around, are you skinny or fat? Are you pretty or not? It's around, how can we be healthier, live longer, all those things. And these drugs aren't an escape route from obesity. They're a path to health. And I look at people, and I don't know, it's such an interesting conversation, because I have come to believe that every pound you lose is a win, regardless of how you did it. If it took medication, so what?
Yeah, so what? So what? I've lost weight every other way. Why not try this? If science came up with something that works, why wouldn't you try it? People take medication for high blood pressure, for high cholesterol. I'm overweight. Yeah, I'll take something for that. Of course. I've tried everything. Yeah, give me what you got. I'll try it.
Better living through science. If you can make me taller, grow more hair, skinnier, smarter, faster, well, I could be an Avenger. I could be an Avenger then, right? So, be the Bionic Man. But it's so funny, because growing up, and
remember the Bionic Woman?
I do. If you're of that age where you remember those shows, and science legitimately
science made them better.
A superhero.
We can make him stronger, faster, better.
Then I want that.
Yeah.
And if these can do that, I'm all in. It's not a problem. So in doing the responses, you've got a couple of options. You can not respond and just say, oh, thank you for your interest. I'm taking care of myself, and move on. I do encourage, unless they're coming at you way, way hard, to respond with kindness, to do a little bit of education.
Do they want to know for themselves? Do they want to know because they're threatened by you? Those are two different.
Yeah,
those are two different things. The people that want to know because they might need help themselves, I'm going to help them 110%. The person who is not coming at me like that, who is coming at me aggressively and with like a cross look on their face, I am really not going to want to interact with at all. I'll just say, thank you very much.
And I either go one of two ways. I either go, here's my short answer, and walk away, or I go hard in and take them down. Because I don't have any time. If you're going to be a jerk about it, I got no time for you, and I'm going to take you out too. And
he will. I've seen it. I've seen it happen.
Most of the time, it's not like that. They have to come at me pretty hard. It takes a lot to provoke me. But if you're going to come at me hard, I will be happy to give you a scientific lesson in 5 minutes or less, and you will, I promise you, remember it. But it's okay to not engage in the conversation. It's okay. You don't owe anybody anything.
When we went to my high school reunion last weekend, so everybody was asking me, because at every other reunion, I've always been overweight going back to these reunions.
You were 80 pounds down from high school, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so I was I looked a lot different than I did in high school. And it's funny because most people come to those reunions and they're heavier. You don't really see a lot of people come in way smaller, but I was the one who came in way smaller. So some of the people that have come in way heavier were asking me about these medications, like how do you get them? Like, what are the side effects? Are there any long-term side effects? Are you worried? I remember one question I got was, are you worried about long-term side effects? I was like, No, I'm not worried about it. Are you worried about long-term side effects?
No, I'm not worried about side effects at all, because I got to a point where I know that the side effects of being 80 pounds overweight were absolute, and that I was going to be dead.
That's a definite side effect.
I was in a place where it's like crashing a car. Could the car crash? But I'm crashing. I'm going to hit something.
I'm headed for a pole.
I'm headed for a pole. I'm going to get hurt.
At some point in the future, like, can I get out of this lane, or is this my only option?
And with that level of weight, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are there side effects? Absolutely there are. Do I believe there are long-term side effects that I worry about? No, I do not believe that at all. Not a doctor. Please talk to your doctor.
Yeah.
Everybody has different health experiences.
Well, I think the health conversation is something that growing up I wasn't worried about. I wasn't worried about my health. I was only worried about the clothing size I wore, or being able to shop at a certain store, but now having kids and getting older, it's changed my perspective a little bit. A difference in your health. It does make a difference in your cholesterol levels and your A1C levels, a whole bunch of things, not just, oh, I'm able to wear a smaller clothing size, but yeah.
So let's talk about one of the other common objections. You're just going to gain the weight back.
Oh, that's the worst. Like, oh, such haters. Like, haters gonna hate. Like, if I stop taking this medication, yes, odds are I will gain this weight back. I think this is a known fact of this medication.
So is there any diet that you've ever been on, of the 100 diets that you've been on, that were guaranteed you would never gain the weight back?
No, of course not.
So why does that objection matter in this?
This is the part that scares me about these medications. If they were suddenly to become inaccessible to me tomorrow, am I going to go back to 200 pounds? That's terrifying. And I think we were talking about along the way, I was always worried at some point this was going to stop working. This was too good to be true. I was going to be done, and I was going to wake up and I was going to have gained all the weight back. Like that's always my fear, because that's always what's happened in the past.
But let's focus on responding to the objection and not you swirling in fear.
Yeah.
Okay. So responding to the objection.
Yeah.
You're just going to gain the weight back. I think, though, you've got to reframe it. I think you've got to reframe it and say,
every other diet I've ever been on, I've gained the weight back.
Yeah.
This one is no different if I stop taking this medication.
If you stop doing that, if you stop doing keto, if you stop doing whatever.
If you eat a piece of bread on keto, yeah, you're going to gain the weight back.
Yep.
So, yeah.
To me, it's listening. It's understanding who your audience is, and there will be different responses for your nice old grandma versus the angry neighbor next door. Right? There'll be different responses for people who might be inquiring because they also have the problem, versus people who are workout junkies and are just ticked off you might be smaller than them.
Yeah.
Right? There's different responses, and we have to face them in whatever way appropriate, in whatever way we're mentally and emotionally ready to at the time. Sometimes that means just walking away. Sometimes that means telling you to jump off a bridge. It just does.
I'm not going to tell anybody to jump off a bridge.
No, but
yeah, I've seen lists of responses that people have come up with to, why didn't you just diet and exercise, or did you take the easy way out? And they range from the mind your own business, or I'm not responding, all the way to a full-blown attack right back at the person. And there's so many ways to respond. I think everybody just has to find one that they're comfortable with. And if you don't want to tell anybody, you don't have to tell anybody. You can just say, oh yeah, I've been working really hard on it. The end. You can say, yeah, I've taken a weight loss medication. The end. Like, it's nobody's business. If you want to tell them or not, that's up to you. That's why we started this channel, because I wanted to tell people, because why didn't I know about this sooner? Like, I feel like there's so many people that could really benefit from these medications, and most people just have not even heard about them. That's why we're here.
So to me, there's no easy way out. There's no easy
way to lose weight. Believe me, if there was, I would have found it by now.
This is a way that makes it possible, and it's a way that you can do it if you're consistent with your taking the shot, if you're consistent with following the instructions from your physician, if you are consistently learning and changing and evolving such that you're building a healthy lifestyle. But I said it the other day on one of these videos, perfection isn't the goal, life is. And I want to stay alive and be happy and healthy and be with this one as long as I can and take care of my girls and walk them down the aisle and bounce grandbabies on my knee. I want to do all those things. So this is a way that helps us get there. None of it's easy, but it's worth it.
Ain't nothing easy, but yeah, it's sure worth it. It's sure worth it.
That's our conversation for today. Just reframing the narrative around, is this the easy way out, and potential responses, arguments, contradictions, you name it. If you haven't already, please take a moment, like and subscribe. It helps the YouTube algorithm share this with other people who might be interested in GLP-1's. And that's what we do every week, every day. So please join us again on the Downsized. If you haven't already joined us for our live stream, make sure you do that on Thursday nights at 7, where we just sit like this and talk to our viewers, talk to the community, answer questions where we can. Yeah. They chat in the community. There's a lot of fun stuff that happens. So 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Christopher Durham.
And I'm Laraine Durham.
And we are the Downsized.